Good evening, I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 6. Well, because of all this heavy rain, we're under a storm tracker threat level 1 this evening.
As for how much rain we get this time, here's Bill in the LEX18 Storm Tracker Weather Center.
Threat index at 1 for a couple of more hours. A flood watch does continue for central Kentucky and also down toward Lake Cumberland. Eastern, southeastern Kentucky has been pulled from the watch. We'll look at that in just a second. For the areas that are under the watch, we could pick up another half, maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain as it now is beginning to move in. Strong storms are at least a possibility, but it's a diminishing one. It is windy, and there is a huge drop in temperatures coming. From our St. Joseph Health WeatherBug camera there at 21C Museum Hotel. Rain is now coming into downtown Lexington. The clouds have a kind of an ominous sort of look to them, but really this has all just been garden variety stuff. But there's your flood watch. Central Kentucky headed up to the north and then down toward Lake Cumberland. Again, that's just for this evening. MaxTrack Live Doppler. Here's your leading edge of rain. You're seeing it now from up around Maysville down through Cynthiana where it's raining hard. Millersburg Parish, you're just about to get the rain now coming into Lexington, Sadieville, Berry, Georgetown, Stamping Ground, all getting in on some pretty decent rain at this point. Lexington, we're kind of cutting the county in half. So down towards, say, Firebrook, it's raining. Out toward the east, toward Greenbrier, not so much yet. And we're looking at that rain then working its way to the south and southwest. Future track from 6 o'clock. Okay, there's your coverage of rain now. As we continue through this evening, that rain progresses to the east. Back edge of the rain is encountering colder air, so that at midnight, we could indeed be seeing a transition to a few snowflakes. How's that for a change? We'll talk about that and look toward the cold that's coming in a couple of minutes.
Nothing surprises us at this point. Thank you, Bill.
A stretch of Rice Road in Anderson County is looking more like a river these days. The rain over the last 48 hours has brought back a recurring problem.
Michael Burke looks at one troubled spot in Lawrenceburg where just a month ago someone nearly lost his life. It's the LEX18 big story at 6.
From his front porch, Henry Carr can see the problem rising before his eyes. And then he blocks out a little extra time for his commute.
That cuts 15, 20 minutes off our drive.
But that time-saving Rice Road crossing is impassable right now following 2 or 3 days of rain. Last month, Carr saw the power of the Salt River during a dangerous water rescue led by the Anderson County Fire Department. The area is one of a handful that's had recent issues. Bart Powell leads the county's public safety effort.
That's the most dangerous environment that a firefighter can be involved in, is swift water.
So he's urging everyone in his county to not even think that crossing this or other troubled spots might be a good idea, especially when there are other options.
We have other low water crossings that resemble that location, and there are 2 ways in and 2 ways out. And a little extra time would be the way to do it.
Extra time Mr. Carr always knows to leave himself. After all, he doesn't have a long way to look to see the worst of this dangerous spot.
Just for what little bit of rain we've had, it will rise that fast, yes.
And it will sweep you away that fast. Just ask the driver of this car. Covering the news in Anderson County, Michael Burke, LEX18 News.
All the heavy rain has created flooding problems in Louisville, too. This is a look at the appropriately named River Road at Frankfort Avenue near downtown this morning. Our sister station caught this scene of a car in high water. Another important reminder to turn around, don't drown.
The heavy rains caused a rock slide this morning in Harlan County and has forced a state of emergency. These photos from Harlan County Emergency Management show debris along Highway 72 near Catrins Creek. Officials say about 300 households are affected, impacting emergency services and transportation. Now, no one has been hurt, but Emergency Management says several vehicles have been damaged by falling debris over the past few weeks. Track all the latest forecast information anytime. Log on to our website, lex18.com. And don't forget, free download LEX18 Storm Tracker Weather app. You can get all that information on the go. In other news tonight, more than 2 years ago, during a training exercise, Lexington firefighters found human bones inside a car at the bottom of the Kentucky River.
Tonight, we've learned more about those remains and the car. Lee Searcy talked to the Fayette County coroner who hopes advanced science will finally identify that person.
In October of 2016, human remains were located deep here in the Kentucky River inside a car near the Clays Ferry Bridge. The Fayette County coroner said then it appeared the vehicle was submerged for decades. 3 independent car experts verified his best guess. Gary Ginn says they determined the vehicle was a light blue 1960s Ford Fairlane, similar to this one. As for the human remains found inside it,
well, the DNA said that the right femur was consistent with the female.
Ginn has an idea the remains could belong to an out-of-state person, but that's as far as he'll elaborate. He does not suspect foul play. He says previous DNA tests have not found any matches, but he hopes a private laboratory with advanced DNA techniques can go deep enough to match the specimens to the person's distant relatives.
What I would do is I would ask that it be specifically tested between the person that we think that it is, the DNA that we've got on sample, and the DNA from NamUs from our bony structures that we found. And hopefully we would come up with a match.
Ginn believes science can and will put a name to this mystery.
My hopes are there because I would like to see this family, or any family that has a loved one that has been missing, for them to know the final story.
Covering the news in Lexington, Lee Searcy, LEX 18 News.
Now, Ginn is still researching private labs which can do that testing. Some school districts across Kentucky took steps to beef up security after last year's shooting in Marshall County. But some lawmakers say they think that's not enough.
They're hoping to pass the school safety bill this year, and today they received support from families who know what it's like to lose a child. LEX 18's Carolina Buchek has the story.
Now, typically when lawmakers are talking about a new bill, there are a lot of back and forth moments. They even get tense at times. But today, when Preston Cope and Bailey Holt's parents spoke about losing their kids in the Marshall County High School shooting, you could hear a pin drop in the room.
I had no idea that morning when I kissed her bye would be my last.
This crying mother is Secret Holt, Bailey's mom. Her daughter and Preston Cope were shot and killed when a gunman opened fire at Marshall County High School a little more than a year ago. Now, their parents want to make sure no one else has to go through what they went through.
I relive it every day, January 23rd.
The Holts and the Copes testified in front of the Education Committee today, supporting Senate Bill 1, a school safety bill which calls for more officers in schools, more counselors, and better security.
We have to be Preston and Bailey's voice. They are not here. They are here with us in spirit. But we have to be their voice, and we have to do this.
And lawmakers say the school safety bill, Senate Bill 1, is their top priority this legislative session. Covering the news in Frankfort from the LEX Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
A man is in the hospital after a police officer shot him in Louisville this morning. The police chief says officers were called to Kendall Lane after people reported a man roaming around the neighborhood in the backyards of homes. When an officer got on scene, that man ran, and the officer says when he caught up with him, the man pulled out a gun. That's when the officer shot him. The man was taken to U of L hospital. No word yet about his name or condition. Lexington police want to hear from you if you have pictures or video from the scene of this altercation involving two officers and a juvenile at Fayette Mall. The scuffle happened Saturday night near the H&M store. According to Lexington police, the two officers in the video were working off-duty at the mall when they responded to a complaint about some disorderly people. Police say one of the officers was assaulted by a male juvenile. The father of that boy posted this video on Facebook, claiming an officer punched his son, who has autism, 3 times. Police say the video doesn't show the entirety of what happened. However, one of the two officers wasn't assigned a body camera, and the other officer's camera didn't record. Now, police are investigating to try to find out why. A family of 3 here in Lexington got a scare when a fire broke out at their home on Judy Lane this morning.
When firefighters arrived, the family pet was still inside. Claire Kopsky shows us the rescue of their dog.
Yeah, she ready to go lay down. It's been a stressful day.
Stressful is a bit of an understatement. The Carlton family's home caught on fire this morning.
We found a significant amount of fire in the kitchen area, which is in the rear portion of the house. We had the fire knocked down in probably 7 to 8 minutes.
When Sandra arrived and knew her husband and child were safe, she focused on the final family member, Zeus.
And I kept telling them I have a dog in the house. There's a dog in the house. And finally they came out with them and he was just lifeless.
When we removed the dog from the structure, he seemed to be struggling a lot.
Lexington firefighters pulled out the pet resuscitation kit and started working on Zeus.
It was terrifying, very terrifying. They got on him, they gave him oxygen.
After holding their breath for 6 to 7 minutes, Zeus shook it off and was up and moving.
I've already been through every emotion there is, so now it's, you know, I'm grateful, so.
We've got some heavy fire damage. Obviously the kitchen is the worst, but there's heavy heat and smoke damage throughout the house, so they are going to be displaced.
But Sandra says she's not worried about the damage.
The house, oh well, you know, we'll find something else or whatever, but can't find another dog like this, you know. He's a great dog.
Covering the news in Lexington, Claire Kopsky, LEX 18 News.
The pet resuscitation kits were donated to the fire department by the Lexington Kennel